Hi everybody. Tonight we're going to cook lasagna, which is a staple of Italian food. You've had lasagna before, right, Snarfy?
Oh, lasagna's fantastic! I can't wait!
Snarfy, you already know about lasagna. Usually when I ask you something about the food we're going to make, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dave Lasagna. He was a point guard in the NBA back in the 60s. He was fantastic.
Well, actually, lasagna is one of the oldest types of pasta ever made. It's flat, and so it was easy to carry when it was dry. Typically today we make it as a kind of casserole, which is what we're going to do tonight, and it's layered with noodles, more filling, and cheese, etc. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to need tonight. Lasagna! So among the ingredients we'll need tonight are butter.
You're gonna make buttered lasagna? That sounds weird.
Well, it's not. It's for the garlic bread. We're not going to actually put it on the stuff.
Ah, good.
And also we're going to need some mozzarella cheese. Our lasagna noodles, of course. We've got some cloves of garlic we're going to chop up later to put into the sauce. For the sauce, we'll need a can of crushed tomatoes, another can of tomato sauce, and a small can of tomato paste. All those are going to go in together. An onion. We have a pound of hamburger and a pound of Italian sausage mixed together. We have ricotta cheese. You can also use cottage cheese if you want to do it American style. And many different spices, including salt, pepper, basil, oregano, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, that's kind of an herbal blend, nutmeg, parsley flakes, and basil leaves. We're going to need our grated Parmesan cheese as well. And then, as you can see, we have a pound of shredded mozzarella. For our equipment tonight, we'll have one Dutch oven, one medium saucepan, a casserole dish for baking, a spatula, a spoon, paring knife, and cutting board. See that we're soaking the lasagna noodles. That we don't actually have to boil these. The oven cooking will do part of our work for us, and this will do the rest. So we're just going to soak those in hot tap water until we're ready to put everything together. Now over here, you'll see that we are cooking our meat together with chopped onion and minced garlic. This is going to be the beginnings of our sauce. We'll add some more ingredients after the meat's all cooked. We're going to go ahead and add the spices now, though, including our Italian seasoning, basil, some fennel seed. Lay it on with this stuff. It's got a good flavor. A little bit of oregano. There's some in the Italian seasoning, too. And our parsley and nutmeg. Now we're also going to add our secret ingredient, which is 2 tablespoons of white sugar. The reason you're doing this is so the sauce has a little bit of the sweet flavor that we've grown familiar with when we eat spaghetti. Don't overdo it though, because you don't want it to be too sweet. In our center saucepan, we're making our cheese filling with our ricotta's already in here. We're just going to put it on low heat, add some salt. Ricotta doesn't have a whole lot of salt or natural flavor on its own, so seasoning it up is always a good idea. We're going to put in some more of the pepper as well, and parsley, and definitely give it a good dash of nutmeg, which is always a good spice. Beer is not an ingredient. Thank you. And we'll put some garlic powder in this as well, just to give it a little more garlic kick. Most of the minced garlic we put into the meat. We're going to stir this together. It doesn't need to get too hot or cook. Just being in the oven will take care of it for this. Well, our meat's been browned, so we're going to start making the sauce itself. I'm dumping in some tomato paste first. This stuff always sticks to the can. It's really powerful, so you don't need a bigger can unless you really love the flavor of the tomato paste. Especially since we're putting so many other tomato products in here. Now let's add in our sauce. And some crushed tomatoes, which you'll notice have the consistency of kind of a thick spaghetti sauce anyway. Now that we've got all that in there, we're going to stir and let this simmer. We're going to let it go for the better part of an hour, and then we'll be ready to go ahead and make our actual lasagna. Lasagna! Alright, time to put our stuff together. First we're going to put a layer of sauce at the bottom of the pan. This has the meat in it, as you'll recall, as well as the tomato sauce and spices and a little bit of sugar. You're going to use about 2 cups of this, rough, give or take. You can put a little bit more in depending on how many ounces of sauce you actually have. We're going to smooth this out now. And on top of this, we're going to put our first layer of lasagna noodles. Here they are. They're definitely softer from being soaked, but they're by no means fully cooked. So we're going to use half our noodles in this go and then the rest on top of this later. Now comes the cheese mixture. Use about half of it here. Now that it's warm, it'll spread a little easier than if we had put it on there cold. Although maybe that goes without saying. Get a little bit more out of there. Now we're going to put even more cheese on top of this cheese, believe it or not, because next comes our shredded cheese. Use this sparingly because you're going to have more layers of shredded cheese than anything else. And then some of our grated Parmesan on top of that. There's a lot of cheese in this. I don't know if you've noticed that. Let's get a little more mozzarella in there. Alright, now we're going to put more sauce on. We're going to keep repeating until everything's done. Spread it out some more. See if we can flatten it down. We don't want this to explode out of the pan if we can help it. Now comes the rest of the noodles. Looks like we have enough noodles to even do another layer if we want, but there's just not enough room. Now for the rest of our ricotta cheese. You can actually make your own ricotta cheese at home using just a gallon of milk and a little bit of vinegar. I've done it before, but it tastes a little bit different than the stuff you get at the store, partially because I probably did it wrong. Let's get this all evenly spread out. Now we've got 2 additional layers of cheese and 1 layer of sauce left, so hopefully we can fit this all in here without any issues. Cheese first. You want most of the mozzarella to be on your top layer, but there's no reason to go easy on it. And a little more Parmesan before it's all said and done. Now here comes the rest of our sauce. See if we can't get this last little bit out of here. And finally, the rest of our cheese. This is a pretty hefty casserole right here. Now our oven's already preheated to 350 degrees, but before we actually put this in, we're going to cover it in some aluminum foil. This will keep it from getting too crunchy on the outside. You're not going to keep it in there the whole time with the foil, but we're going to bake it for about 20 minutes at 350 degrees, and then we'll take it off after that and let it go uncovered. While we're waiting for everything else, we're going to make our garlic butter. I'm going to shake in some oregano and some garlic powder, and then we're going to mix it all together. And I microwaved the butter for about 10 to 12 seconds, and that made it a little softer and easier to mix. Once everything else is done in the oven, we'll toast some bread in there. It's time to take the foil off. We're not actually taking this out of the oven. We're just going to take off the wrapping and cook it the rest of the way uncovered. That's already looking pretty good, but in a few more minutes, it'll be looking fantastic. This will let the cheese on top get browned, and it looks like we'll have some extra noodles there, but that's not a big deal. Okay, it's time to take the lasagna out. Let's see how we did here. Oh, that looks great. Look at that. I'm actually going to need some more assistance getting it out of there. Oh, there we go. That is some hefty stuff right there. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to make our garlic toast like we were talking about before. Now we'll make some garlic toast, and yes, I did not make my own bread, but sometimes it's good to enjoy the simple things. We did make our own garlic butter. We're going to slather this up, and then we're going to put it in the oven to toast it. Let's just get a little on there. There we go. That looks good. Now, before we toss it in, I'm going to shake a little Parmesan cheese on here. And just a few sprinkles of red pepper. The oven is still going, so we'll just go ahead and place this in directly on the rack. Let it go for about 5 minutes. Look at that. Some good looking toast right there. And here we have it. Lasagna and garlic toast. Now, that looks like a delicious Italian meal. In addition to being a part of Italian culture, lasagna is also a very important food source for the regular house cat. Lasagna!
What?